Hey besties! Have you ever had that feeling where AI is such a huge topic right now? You're excited to dive in, but the minute you try to do it, it's almost like an information tsunami. New tools, endless news, and a nagging sense that if you don't catch this train right now, you get left behind. And suddenly you're so overwhelmed that you've frozen up and you did absolutely nothing. And you start to wonder if it's even worth trying. And you feel useless in a sense that you couldn't catch up to the information. If that is how you feel right now, stick around because this video is just for you. A few weeks ago, I was chatting with my friend about this. She's an amazing person, super awesome, more spiritual and to the counseling side of things. And she told me this thing that got me thinking. She really wanted to dive into AI because obviously it's everywhere right now and it's almost the biggest hit and the only thing that people talk about nowadays. But she was also very nervous about it. That conversation got me thinking. Trying to jump into AI is not a bad idea, but doing it the wrong way may get you backfired. And I just had a sense of feeling that she shouldn't just dive into it directly, but I couldn't quite put my finger down onto what I'm feeling. So I did some research and I came across the answers to potentially clear up worry that I got. And this is a video for my friend, also to you, my lovely besties, if you're feeling the same way. So when I first jumped into AI, I fell into a cycle of continuous learning. So there'll be times that you'll watch other people's demos to understand how a certain AI tool works. And every single time when I watch it, I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand, finally. But the next time when I'm trying to do it, I will forget and probably like new tools will come out and it's not that useful anymore. What I eventually realized is that the tools come with a hidden cost. It's not just about money, but it's also about the attention. There's always going to be more settings, more new tweaks, and new workflows to learn, and more bugs to wrestle, the endless best practices to follow. And suddenly, instead of asking, how do I make this project better? I was stuck in thinking, which tool should I use next? That's when I knew that the biggest issue is to not marry the tools. And my point is, there's always going to be so many tools popping up. There's going to be a workflow, a tutorial about this AI tool, and there's going to be another tutorial about another workflow, about another AI tool every single day. It just keeps popping up. So my point is, don't marry the workflows. Be clear with what you want. Be clear with the idea of who you want to become. Because if you don't have a clear idea of who you are and who you want to become or what you want to do as a person, as a goal, it's going to make you go crazy. Learning AI tools is going to be so tiring. And not only is it not going to be efficient, it might drag you down. It's going to make you feel like you're dumb, like, oh, why can't I even learn this thing? Everybody's saying like AI is easy. In a matter of fact, AI can be easy, but people can overcomplicate it and AI tools can be complicating. So it really depends on the level of understanding that you can take from learning AI tools and also knowing what's your goal. So what do I mean by saying knowing your goal before diving in? Let's say you have an idea you wanted to create. Let's say you wanted to create a music video and you wanted to do that for a really long time. You do not know how to play any instruments and you don't know how to sing. So how do you do it? Well, with the help of AI tools, you're able to do it. And on the top of my mind of what I can think about, it's pseudo for helping you to create the music itself. You can prompt by using your voice and also just typing in the genre of music that you want. And if you wanted to make the music video, you can go about finding which AI tools is the best of creating generative AI videos. So for example, a good one that I love is Dreamina. Dreamina is a really great to generate AI photos or videos or to turn AI photos into videos. So by understanding which tool is the best to help you to generate and to create your idea, that is what you want. You wanted to know efficiently which tools at this very time is the best for you to reach your goal, right? So you won't be going about like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take an AI course, like to understand what is AI, or say, oh my gosh, I'm going to learn vibe coding, because vibe coding is not going to help you to make your music video, or say learning an AI course is not going to help you to make the music video. So you have to clearly know what you want in order to create what you wanted. If not, it's going to be all over the place because it's so many ideas and there's so many workflows. And honestly, AI is bombarded right now. There's so many information. Even before AI, right? Even before AI, the world has already been bombarded by unlimited amount of information. More so when AI happens, it's just double it, it triples it, it quadruples it. It makes things even more confusing if you don't know what you want and you don't know who you are. You're gonna get dragged everywhere, I'm telling you. And honestly, I've seen people wanting to jump onto the AI bandwagon, but feeling overwhelmed by the end of the day because it is just too much going on. Let's be honest here. 80% to 90% of the AI tools are just different skins with the same function. So tool A, B, C, D may look very different, but they produce nearly the identical results, and usually they will evolve fast. So you may be learning tool A for months, and then tool B will come around, replace it after probably a few months or so, and tool C will merge everything, and tool D may just make it easy and you can do everything within one click. Learning does not compound, but your direction does. The moment I started to realize that, I stopped hoarding onto tools and I started realizing, hey, actually, my creative direction is more important. I'm not saying that I'm anti-tool or anything like that. I'm just saying that we have to have clarity. We have to use the tools strategically. And we have to understand that clarity, not complexity, that is actually what scales. So maybe you have felt this. You don't know what AI is and you don't know what you want, and you see everything AI can do. And now your brain is whispering, oh my gosh, I'm behind. I'm stupid. This isn't for me. That's not actually because AI is inherently hard. It's actually because you've entered without a goal. Here's the quote wordy line, guys. You can't bend yourself for AI. AI needs to bend for you. So without a strong sense of identity, AI can become noise, triggers, or stimulation, and just too much information coming at you, right? It's going to be anxiety. It's going to be endless learning without any output. So you have to define who you are and what you want before you dive in. Okay, so for all my besties who are not technical and are creatives, just like me, and even if you're not just creative, you wanted to create an app for yourself, you want something to be created, but you've never had the skill set. You've always put that idea that you wanted to create your dream into the impossible bag. There's a good news because now there's a really high probability that AI can help you to put it in the possible bag. Financially, like it can be cheaper in a way than before to actually make what you want to make. So in a way of saying, AI can be very difficult. It can be super like technical, like engineer level, right? But it can also be super easy because there's already ready-made AI tools for you to use. You don't need to know all the engineering system in order to create AI because there's so many levels to AI, right? There's like super duper technical, and then there's people with like a novice. You don't actually need to have technical skills. You only need to know enough deep knowledge of AI for you to do what you wanted to do. But if you wanted to create art, videos, music, or stories, here's what matters. You actually need to be the driving force behind it, not going to generate or prompt things according to what you want. So here's the question. Do you need to know how a car is built in order to drive it? No, but kind of need to know where you're going, right? So here is the permission granted for you right here, right now. You have this permission, okay? You have a permission to use AI to support your vision without understanding every single technical detail. Focus on the direction first, and later on, depth can come along with the help of AI. Now, I'm not claiming to say that you can do every single thing with AI right now, and of course, there's people who are super against the idea of using AI to create art and stuff like that. I totally understand. Because I'm also a very artistic person, I understand when people put years and years into their craft and suddenly someone can, do things so easily just with a click of AI. So here's the thing. AI is a tool. It's not an identity. What do I mean by that? The real question isn't what can AI do, but is who am I using AI as? So let's imagine this for a second with me. Come with me, imagine this. Now, I have a knife in my hand. The knife is a tool on its own. I hand it to a chef, the chef can use it to cook. It will make awesome meals. But if you hand it to a soldier, it's actually going to use it for combating purposes because that's what they train for. So put that analogy, that metaphor into AI because AI is a tool on its own, right? So if you give it to a scientist, the scientists are going to use AI for a certain reason. You give it to an artist is going to use it for a certain reason. You give it to a mother, you give it to a entrepreneur, you gave it to a student, they're going to use it for a different reason, right? Because AI is so much bigger than the knife, right? But I'm taking it as an analogy that it is a form of a tool. So whoever that's using AI is going to have very different outcome because they have different goals. If you wanted to learn AI, you have to know what you want, who you are, in order to go about this because AI is kind of like a magnifier, you know? It magnifies what you wanted. It's kind of have the same analogy as money. Like the more money, the more it magnifies who you actually are and what you actually want. And it's kind of similar. Like the more you use AI, the more it's going to broaden up who you are. Like if you wanted to dive into learning a skill set, for example, you wanted to learn how to be healthy, you're going to dive into that route and you're going to know more and more about how to be healthy. If you wanted to learn how to be a pilot, you're going to dive into that route and potentially it can give you a lot of information of how to be a pilot, and then you can go about taking your licenses, stuff like that, right? It's going to shrink down all the knowledges for you. It's going to take up all of the things that you needed, and at that very moment you ask the question, it's going to tell you the best answer at that time. So the real question is, who am I using AI? Give AI a meaning by embedding it into your purpose so that it can extend and magnify who you actually are. AI is meant to make things lighter, not heavier. So if you're going about with AI and it's making you more confused, anxious, or tired, it is hurting your creativity or hurting your actual goal that you wanted to reach. You're using it against the purpose. AI should lower barriers, reduce costs, expand access, and turn impossible into possible. The moment it starts adding friction, we have to step back and we have to start reassessing it. Okay, this is my favorite part, and this is a metaphor that I talk about all the time. So this is my favorite part, the liberating framework. Before AI, certain dreams were a little bit more expensive to create, or say it requires a lot of people's approval in order to make it happen. For example, if you wanted to make a movie, it requires certain levels of budget and certain levels of time commitment to make that happen. Right now, you're able to create a very polished movie, and potentially in the future even more so, that you can create a movie that looks super cinematic and super great quality without needing a large team. Art is subjective. And from my taking and my opinion, I feel like art is just to find a way to unleash what is in your brain, what is in your mind, what is in the vision that you see. You can use drawing as a form of unleashing the vision. You can use watercolor as a form of unleashing the vision. So why can't you use prompting as a way of unleashing your vision? So don't let all these artists make you talk into feeling like you're less than the others just because you use AI to create what's the vision that you had. Because honestly, it's just different eras, right? And different forms of creating art. There's always going to be people hating on you. So just don't care about it. Because by the end of the day, if you're still continuously doing what you want to do, you win. You win. And honestly, I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart. If you want to do something, do it. Don't care of the haters. Don't care about what people think. Don't care about what others may think it's right or wrong, because that is who they are. That's their world. Because in this whole wide world, you cannot always look at what's right. You gotta look at your heart, right? You gotta understand what you want. Sometimes things may look very wrong in like to other people. That's because they didn't see your vision. They didn't see what you understand, and they didn't see what you wanted. But that doesn't mean that what you wanted is wrong, right? Maybe everybody's just being a freaking like in the Chinese, we call it like a sheep that's following the herd. And maybe you're the different one. Maybe you're the one that's supposed to be not the sheep. I don't know. Like, you're probably not the sheep that's following the herd, and you're the sheep that's going on your own path. And that's why they'll probably think like, oh, you're weird, you're not right, you're doing things the wrong way. But in a matter of fact, you might be onto something. And they will only understand it once you have figured it out. So don't stop. And show them. Show people who you are. Show them what you wanted to create. And don't over-explain. Explain with your actions. I know, I'm being motivational right now. I feel like I always do that. I think it's also because I wanted to motivate people who have an idea and they couldn't get past the shame that society may think they're lame and stuff like that, so that they don't do it. And I think in this day and age, just do it. Don't care. In the past, people may not have the freedom to do what you're doing right now. May not have the freedom to have the shame that you're able to have right now. You gotta embrace the shame, okay? You gotta embrace it, because you only have one life and you have to go for it. You have to do it, okay? You just have to do it. Just like me creating this YouTube channel. Do you think that people are not judging? People are judging. Like, people are thinking like, oh, why are you doing this? This looks lame. But hey, they're not me. They don't understand what I'm doing. So what I'm trying to say is, you gotta just follow your heart. You gotta just do what you want to. I'm gonna leave it here for today. And I hope that this video can get you going and give you more clarity on what AI can help you with, because I was struggling with it for a little bit of a time to actually be able to see clearly what is my path in AI, because there's so many, right? Like, it's just a huge hierarchy of like different streams and different possibilities that you're able to do with AI. And suddenly I clicked. You can use AI in almost any industry right now. So you have to pick what's good for you, right? If you're not good at coding, and you're not good, potentially if you think coding is hard, and also vibe coding scares you, maybe don't go that path. But use AI to help you to accelerate on what you're doing right now. And that's going to make things 10 times or maybe even 100 times faster. And you may even, realize that, oh my gosh, new way or new solution or a new epiphany of what you actually wanted to do, and it's going to add a new layer to your ideas, right? I really hope that this is going to give you some enlightenment of what you wanted to do, to align with what you want to do, and to gain clarity. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you can. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!